No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
So see me up close.
No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful, blasphemous people? Welcome back to A Raging Atheist. I'm your boy Nakasuchi, and we're gonna look at the Nazi again. But before we look at the Nazi, let's start it with a positive note. I want to thank all of my patrons for their support. Just added a new patron, so the Patreon screen will be changing. Gonna do that probably today. I am ahead on videos, so it might take a moment, but want to thank my patrons. Lots of new Patreon content on Patreon. New perks are coming. If you would like to become a patron, link is in the description below. Alright guys, so it's time to go back at that white separatist. In the last video I did, he talked about his love for Trump. He talked about how some African Americans haven't assimilated to American culture yet, and by that he means white culture. He's pissed off that black people have their own culture. They didn't assimilate to American white culture, so, you know, yeah. But in this episode, he's gonna go really white supremacist on us, so let's check it out.
And the reality is that maybe some people like diversity. That's fine. I actually believe that there are probably many people who love, being in a heterogeneous society. However, that's not the same experience that everybody has. And so
what's bad about it, though?
Well, two things. I think, for one, these policies aren't just something that's been adopted here in America. This is something that is happening across the West, in literally every single Western-derived nation on the planet. If I felt that I didn't want to be part of this social experiment, I can't opt out. I don't have the ability to opt out.
You know, I'm not going to pretend to know the percentages and the statistics. I'm going to actually agree with a point that he made there, because I have seen a rise of extreme far-right ideology taking hold all across the world. So I'm not even going to deny that. But I think that we have seen a result of that in a rise of more far-left populism throughout the world.
That is cult-like behavior.
And I think that right now, that far-left populism is growing big enough to counter that far-right extremist movement across the world. And I think it's been evened out a little bit more. And we'll see who's going to become the victor of this political war that I do think is raging across the world right now. You know, the alt-right had a really good messaging brand. They used memes, they infiltrated social media, and they got people thinking along the lines that they wanted them to be thinking along. They played upon fears and they played upon biases to where they did grow their numbers. So anybody that comes into the comments and say that these people are few and far between, I highly strongly disagree, my friend, and I think that the statistics would completely bear that out as truth. And something that I noticed, this hate convention here, this white separatist convention, is being held at the Reagan Center, I believe it was, or the Reagan building. And this acceptance by conservatism to accept the far, far right, and we've seen the right go farther and farther right over the last 20 years or so, especially. But this acceptance of extreme far right is really scary, because the extreme far right is authoritarian fascism, Nazis, white supremacy, really fringe group. Both parties have their extreme groups. And it's time to get really nervous when the so-called moderates of your party are embracing the extreme far fringes.
So here I am. Maybe if I had a way to opt out, and that, again, isn't that diversity, having options? And so we're being told we can't even have options. We can't escape it.
I mean, you would have the option. You could go and you could live in, there's parts of North Carolina where they chased all the black people out at gunpoint 100 years ago, and very few have returned. I mean, you could live in those areas if you wanted to.
Not necessarily, because actually the government's gotten involved with HUD, has actually gotten involved in intentionally diversifying neighborhoods across the country, and have actually targeted white neighborhoods for diversification. So no, we can't escape from it, and we have to stand here and push back.
So he is completely wrong. There are plenty of areas in this country that are still pretty much segregated, and if you wanted to move to those areas, you could. It's also fairly easy to create communities in your area, to find like-minded individuals. I mean, these Nazis have been doing it for decades.
That is cult-like behavior.
And the thing he spoke about HUD is just inherently wrong as well. Yes, under Obama, HUD was trying to push some housing developments into very affluent areas, and the rich freaked the fuck out. You know, how are you gonna have projects in Beverly Hills? You know, I was actually for the idea, but guess what? It was never really implemented. The Republicans came to the rescue of those rich folks scared of the poor folk, stalled it completely in court, and now since Trump has been president, Ben Carson has completely stalled it. So he's telling you a thing that's just not factual. Well, I mean, it might be factual, like if you watch like Fox News or some bullshit news site like that.
So then what does the pushback look like? I mean, I think we can assume that you see the Donald Trump victory as a victory for your interests. What could Donald Trump do to help you achieve your goals?
I think the biggest thing is you know, having a voice and expressing what we're thinking and how we're feeling. And to be honest, we have realized that we aren't the only ones who have noticed this stuff. Everyone's starting to realize how big of an impact race is, and that people are starting to rethink.
So there you have it, from the lips of a Nazi, that Donald Trump is their voice. Donald Trump is their champion in this war against diversity. And you could see it. He was trying not to smile, but he was smiling. Donald Trump is their voice. And if you're a Trump supporter and you get mad about all of these Nazi innuendos, realize where the fuck they come from.
So if people who prefer diversity and multiculturalism were more respectful and more willing to listen to you, then you would feel that that was the best thing that could come of the era of Donald Trump?
I think that would be a major shift, yes, if we could finally start having a dialogue and not one of these, oh, we need to talk about race, but let's just bring on a person of European heritage who's going to sit there as a stool pigeon, as a yes man, and just say, oh, yes, yes, we're all so bad, I'm so sorry. No, that is not the only opinion that people of European heritage have.
So in other words, don't have white people on that know the statistics, that know the facts, that have compassion for humanity, that aren't afraid of their own fucking shadows and every other person that doesn't have white skin. Don't have those people on. You need to bring on the neo-Nazis so they can sit there and fill you with a bunch of either half-truths or outright lies, because that's what the fuck they do. They're trying to play on people's fears, and you're not going to do that if you have a compassionate white person on. So no, you need to have more Aryans on.
That is cult-like behavior.
You know, I am a person that will sit here and tell you that white people have a very bad and bloody history. But guess what? Every fucking culture does. White people aren't special in that. Every culture does. Even the Native Americans, there were some tribes that just raided and took slaves and just did horrible things to other tribes. Now, I think it was less in Native American culture, but that's a different video and a different history. But every culture has done atrocity. Every culture has a history of bloodshed. The whole point is trying to be better than what we were before, learning from each generation from our mistakes before, not committing those mistakes, understanding that human beings are inherently common, that we have these commonalities, and that includes cultural histories that are filled with bloodshed and genocide. I mean, for anybody to sit here and excuse what was done in the past, to me, that is the atrocious act. You know, people of all races have committed atrocities. Don't run from that. Learn from it.
And so, yes, if we can open a true dialogue, then I think we will be much better off. And I think this is a conversation that needs to be had, not simply on the national level, but on the international level. Because like I said, this is something that's not simply a phenomenon that's happening here in America. This is happening to all white or European nations.
So you think the solution is that we designate certain nations, maybe certain states in the United States as white states?
I think that might perhaps be the ideal in a way, and to give people options.
You know, we pretty much did have a global conversation about this. It was called World War II. and we almost wiped those Nazis off the face of the earth. Now, all these years later, you guys have evolved, you guys have transformed yourselves, but here you are yet again, and you are growing in popularity yet again. Kind of helps when the leader of the free world dog whistles to you with every breath he takes. And I think we're all perfectly willing to have this conversation again, because your ideology is an utterly failed and atrocious ideology that most people, when they see the face of it, when they see it for what it really is, would never accept that. I said in the last video that many people can accept these policies coming from the mouth of Donald Trump because when they see Donald Trump, they're not seeing a Nazi. They cannot accept these policies coming from you or Richard Spencer or any of your ilk, because anybody outside of your circles, anybody outside of the people that support your ideology that you surround yourself with, 99% of the people are going to find your ideas atrocious. They are going to find you atrocious because you are atrocious. Now, you have value as a human being, but your ideas are atrocious. We should not run from these ideas. We should confront these ideas, and I will do so proudly.
And then, these people wouldn't have to, they could have their utopia and we could have ours. And that's not to say that it would be perfect. We all know that, because then you still have different forms of government and so on and so forth.
So how many states are we going to have to split up so each individual race can have their utopia? And please tell me, if me as mainly a white guy, but with the 30% or so Native American blood that I have, what state would I have to go to? And if I had to go to the Native American utopia, well, I would have to say that the government of this country doesn't have a very good track record with handing Native Americans so-called utopias.
That is cult-like behavior.
I mean, what are even the optics of these ethno states? All right, so do you think that everybody that's owns their homes, have lived in their homes generations sometimes, are just gonna up and sell their homes because, well, I'm a white guy but I live in the black utopia now, or I'm a black guy but I live in the white utopia now, or I'm a mixed guy and I have to figure out where the fuck my utopia is? So you think all these people are just gonna, oh yeah, it's solved, we're gonna leave our fucking homes? No, of course they're not. So then we come to the problem of, well, how are you gonna make them leave their homes? Are you going to physically do this? Are you going to harm them, sometimes kill them? Are you going to starve them out? Are you going to force them out through intimidation? What is the means of making people leave their homes that don't want to leave their fucking homes? And what about white people that don't share your atrocious views? So your ethno state would probably be the smallest fucking pea of a state in this wide country. So you pretty much just want to isolate all of the fucking worst into the same area. And I think that maybe we'll give you your fucking ethno state. Maybe we can isolate all you fuckers into the same area so we know what you're doing, we know where you're at, and it'll be a lot fucking easier to combat your nonsense. But of course, I don't believe in that because I'm a sane, rational human being. I understand that your ideas are so bad that they're easily defeated, and I don't have to be afraid of you. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people hear the word Nazi and they either get, oh, he's just talking shit, or they get scared. There's nothing to be afraid of. These people have no real power. Yeah, they have a sham of a president in the White House, but that president will either be reelected or not. We will deal with those consequences, but they're not going to be able to fundamentally change this country like they think they are. They will be defeated, I have no doubt about it, and it's just a matter of time. And it's also a matter of us speaking out against them, exposing them. A lot of Trump supporters don't know that Nazis consider Trump to be their voice. Make them aware of it. This is the only way. You have to show them. I can't tell you the few Trump videos that I made in relation to Nazis and showing them Charlottesville, how much that helped, because they just don't know. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of them aren't going to give a fuck, but some of them will. Some of them will be turned off completely. Show them the truth, and I hate to say it, but the truth will set you free. But that's it for this segment. We'll get into it more later. As always, I'm your boy Nakasuchi. This is A Raging Atheist. If you like my videos, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share me on your social media, hit that bell so you're notified every time I make a new video, every time I have a new live stream. John has a new live stream. Comment in the comment section below. I'll see you soon.